Welcome to the Shmuel Tenenhouse podcast. My name is Shmuel Tenenhouse. This is my podcast. Thank you for our sponsors of today's podcast. Anthropic, also known as Claude, asked 100,000 people about the impact of jobs and AI. Some of the people had jobs when Anthropic asked them, and by the time the survey was over, they had no jobs. Others still had their jobs. Anthropic does care about jobs. If you are a designer or a copywriter, we care about you, and you're being without a paddle now that AI can outperform your subpar work. To think you wanted time off too. AI is a machine and is not checking out for long weekends. Anyways, as part of our community giving, if you lost your job to AI, Anthropic invites you to come and sweep or mop one of our data centers. It does get hot and dusty. And of course, you will be paid minimum wage. Thank you. Okay, thank you for my sponsors. I don't always agree, but this is what keeps the machine going here. So first of all, just to call out the most important things, I think now is, again, lots of times Jewish people overreact about anti-Semitism happening. Sometimes they're on point. Here, now a lot of Jews in New York are getting scared. Mamdani just issued a new rule called the Social Transparency Act, which means essentially if you buy something, you're talking to somebody, you have to just say the price that you pay for it. And obviously, that is a big concern for a lot of Jewish people because they will no longer be able to say, hey, you see this watch that I'm wearing? It actually retails for $8,000, but I was able to get it through a friend and a coupon for $3,200. And you can't do that with anything anymore. You just have to say the price. Now, is that a huge deal? No, but I think a lot of Jewish people are going to miss that experience of doing that. It's very part of the DNA. Another thing which is very shocking, obviously, is since Mamdani became the mayor of New York City, I spoke to a friend of mine in Crown Heights, and they're suffering terribly right now. I spoke to him yesterday. He says right now, for the last month or so, all of the orange juice that they have in their house has cough. It's not the smooth orange juice, and he's already a very phlegmy guy, and I don't know how he's blaming Mamdani for this, but clearly Mamdani is involved. And he says it's possible now, one, it starts with there's pulp in the orange juice. The next thing is with rabid anti-Semitism, he could be beaten to a pulp. It's all pulp related. This whole pulp fiction thing. Now, I did speak to another Jewish community in one of the boroughs. They said that they're fine living there with New York. Mamdani still hasn't done anything super anti-Semitic, but they said that if he does make it illegal to purchase meat wholesale, they're moving straight to Florida. So it's a very big deal in the Jewish community to be able to purchase the meat wholesale. Now, I am going to lift my camera up just one drop. Let's get drop. Because I was kind of getting tight in there. Okay, now we're back. It's a little better. Okay, so I love Florida. I love living here. I love the fact that people can carry a firearm to defend themselves. However, sometimes I think people go a little too far. I'm talking right now about a new law in Florida that is about to pass, and that is where citizens can carry grenades. It's called the Gator Grenade Act. Now, obviously, we're not a crazy state, so the grenade does have to be concealed, and there's training you have to take. But personally, it's only 2 hours of training, and it's online. And I understand a gun, because God forbid if something happens, you can take that person out. A grenade is much more collateral damage. And so I urge the governor of Florida, and I urge the other lawmakers to really consider this before passing this law. Also, like, kids lose things. you can lose a pin. It just seems a bit excessive, especially if this is all about the right to defend yourself. Now, I want to talk about something which is a big concern in our community and in other communities, and it's really seeping into society, and nobody's really talking about it, so I feel it's incumbent on me to do it. And that is when you have somebody that you invite to your house as a guest, but they as a guest bring guests. And I'm not talking about, hey, a kid came over, we're bringing a kid, it happens once in a while. I'm talking about the people who, even though they don't tell you anything, they're going to bring another family or two, maybe 2, 3 people, like they're inviting people over like it's their house, like a group of people, and it's not one time, it's 2 times. You know, when you invite them, they're bringing another family or 2 with them. Now, for many, many years, people have just been going along with and being polite. I have a friend of mine who is dealing with this in a great way. What he does is when the guests come over and the guest who's inviting the guest says, hey, I hope it's okay to have brought guests. They say, absolutely, it's not okay. Your guests are going to either have to wait in the closet or on the front porch. And as we clean off the plates and there are chicken bones, we will give it to our guests. Now, they did this to this family. It was very awkward and uncomfortable, but it really sends a message very, very strong that we're no longer going to tolerate this guest bringing guest mentality, especially since you're not calling, especially since you're bringing not just 1 or 2 kids that don't eat anyways, but we're bringing big people, large people with large appetites. Like they're scrolling through their phone saying, who do I know has a very big appetite that we can bring to this person's house? There's actually in the DSM currently, the latest update, they do have a mental condition for this. Guests who bring guests, they say it's like a cross between bipolar and I think, I'm not even sure what the other one is. A narcissist, sorry, bipolar and narcissism. Now 50% narcissism, 50% bipolar. Anyways, everybody should be well. I don't personally do that to my guests. I try to be a little nicer, just give a comment here and there. But I'm not going to go to that extent. When I call somebody and they answer the phone and they have people around them and they say you're on speaker, say hello to XYZ. Right when they say you're on speaker, I immediately say, I'm on speaker and you're dead to me. And I'll just hang up the phone and maybe not call them for a couple of months. These are people who do it every time. They just, as you're calling them, they run into a crowd of people and they put you on speaker. That's not why I'm calling. I wasn't calling to speak to everyone around you. It's one thing to even say you're on speaker just to get a heads up, but then when they say, hey, do you want to say hi to so-and-so? Absolutely not. You just hijacked the call because I called to speak to you, which I'm never going to do again because you're always putting me on speaker. There's no good reason for that. Another trick that I do is on your phone when you call somebody and you can't take a call, it's set up already in your phone. You can send an instant text that says, I'll call you later, can't talk to you right now. So something that I call friends, if it says, can I call you later? I just immediately respond, I'm dying. And then just see who's going to take me seriously or not, because you never know. It could be I am dying and you're just on a phone with somebody who put you on speaker and you're not prioritizing me, and possibly I'm dying. So that's just something that I do. If you want to try it, you can try it. Here's another situation. I'm wondering if this ever happened to you. Sometimes I'm feeling low in life and I just want to connect with anybody, call somebody and feel better about myself, even if I'm not listening to what they're saying on the phone. And I'll have a minute or two. I'm driving in the car. I'm by myself. I'm just hit with a wave of loneliness. So I'll call 5, 6 people on my phone. None of them answer. Now, what happens is 10, 15 minutes later, when I'm not feeling lonely anymore, all of a sudden, they all call back at the same time. It's like as if they said, hey, let's call this guy back in 3, 2, 1. So sometimes I just have to say, hey, you were just filling a void before, but now I don't have that void. Can I call you later or whatever? Next time, pick up the call. So you don't have to call back when everybody's calling me back at the same time. I was talking over the summer with somebody who I would say is a very healthy person. He has a lot of healthy tendencies that I don't think necessarily work within Western society. And I was trying to accept what he was saying, but at the same time, really give him the information that he needs so he can make more informed decisions. So, for example, he says he doesn't spend any time on his cell phone because it's radioactive and who knows what sort of signals are coming out of the phone. It's not healthy. What I told him is actually with me, it's the opposite. I went to my doctor. I wasn't growing, my blood tests weren't coming that good. And the doctor said, what it looks like it's missing from your health, I don't know if it's going to work, but you ought to carry a phone in your pocket all the time and be on it as much as you can. Sure enough, I listened to my doctor and now I'm much healthier. I started to grow again. This is a wild log still growing, and all my blood levels are back to normal. And so what I'm saying is, yes, maybe the phone is unhelpful, but everybody has a unique situation. In my case, the doctor was absolutely the radiation from your cell phone is actually making you a healthy person. This person also said he doesn't let his wife, who by the way, they stopped drinking, and I told him, listen, I'm very happy with your decision to stop drinking. If you have any kosher wine in your house that I can come and take off your hands because you're not drinking, just look for the kosher symbol, and I'm gonna be right over. I'll take it from you because you guys are not gonna go back to drinking anyways. So he told me that they don't watch a lot of TV or screens, particularly as child, because same idea. There's radioactive things coming out of the television. And I said, well, in our house, it's not a problem. We require our kids to be wearing a spacesuit and a helmet when they watch television. It's uncomfortable. So first of all, the kids don't end up spending too much time watching TV. It gets a little sweaty, but they're protected from all the rays that he's talking about. So again, yes, I totally get what you're saying, but it's not exactly black and white. There are also going to be exceptions to what you're dealing with. Now I want to talk about two-factor authentication, which is a big thing now, which is when you try to sign into your account, they say, wait a second, we're not sure it's you. Let's send a text to your cell phone or open up an app and then cough 3 times, and then we can get you into your account just to make sure. So there is now, for some expensive services, just to really, really be safe, is helicopter verification. So what they'll do is they say, okay, we noticed your account trying to log in. We're flying a helicopter over your house. Please go outside. Tell us what color the helicopter is. First couple times it happens very loud, like because they have to be like close enough to your house that you can see the color of the helicopter. But I do think it's a form which makes it much harder for people to hack. So yeah, in general, I'm done with two-factor authentication. If it's not quadruple authentication, like something sends something to a fax machine, and then I go outside and I tell a neighbor to call from one of the phones from his house who calls somebody else in a call center, and they call back the original company. That to me feels a lot safer than just double verification. That's if the helicopter verification is not available. I was speaking to friends of ours. We spent the weekend with them, and the mom, who's my wife's friend, tells me, FYI, you have been mispronouncing our name since we know you. She said, like, this would be comparable if I would call you Tuna House instead of Tenant House. And obviously, I said that would be amazing if you called me Tuna House or Tuna House, because I love tuna. If anybody knows me, I travel with tuna packets in my backpack. They're very easy to eat. They're great for traveling, great for hiking, good protein. And so I said, first of all, I would love if you changed up my name. Probably easier for people to pronounce than Tenant House. The second thing is like as I had time to really contemplate what she was saying and meditate over it, I realized that I don't know if I still want to be their friends, because I really like them with the last name that I made up for them, that I thought was their last name. Much cooler. Now when they tell me their real name, I don't know. I really don't know. So like she was like trying to tell me like, oh, you're not. I'm like, yeah, well, maybe this whole friendship wasn't meant to be because your name now is just not how I envisioned it at all, at all. So if you have friends or you have too many right now and you're looking to eliminate one or two of them, check on the pronunciation that you're doing for the first or last name. I want to say that, again, I support the president for most things. There is a happening right now, a crack in the MAGA constituency, if I even pronounced that word correctly. So I have a neighbor a couple of houses down. He's a huge MAGA fan. He doesn't do anything without consulting the White House, right? For years, like, his lawn is not looking good, he calls the White House. His election goes too high, he calls the White House. The first crack that I'm noticing, he tells me the other day, he says, you know, I don't know anymore. He said his pool is not looking the best, but he's not calling the White House because they're not good at doing new pools of water. Could be very, very green the way the White House does it. And so, again, I don't know if this reflects what's going on nationwide, but again, this is an anecdote of a diehard MAGA person who is now just not calling the White House for one thing, but it starts with one thing. Now, Eli Lilly is a pharmaceutical company. I don't know too much about them, but for parents, very cool. They have launched melatonin for kids going to bed, but unlike the regular melatonin, this is way more technologically advanced. So it ties into an app where you just enter your kid's age and weight, and you just put in the app what time you want your kids to sleep from. Like, what's a good time? 6 p.m., like right when they get home, and you can wake them up at 7:30. I think the max you can do for safety reasons is maybe 16 hours. But it's all app-based. It gives the kids the dose, and the kids don't wake up in the middle of the night. They're on the premium app, so it's very cool. I don't know exactly, like, I think it's a lot of mechanical engineering. Maybe the kids should learn how to sleep, but it looks like a good solution that wasn't available to our parents when we were. I look for in the app store. It's called the Melatonin app or the Melly app, something along those lines. So I want to talk about a painful, shameful thing which happens to me on a regular, and that is losing bedtime. Losing bedtime is when you're the adult trying to put the kids to bed and you lose. And basically, instead of taking 45 minutes or half an hour, 6-7 hours go by. You're snacking with them. Your other spouse wants to know what's going on. You give up any hope that you ever had, and you also start questioning all the life decisions that you had. You're kind of rolled up in a ball. You're crying. A friend of mine who's really harsh on himself has this little hack that says loser on it, who will wear it if he loses at bedtime. He wear it for like the next day in Cinnabon. I see him wearing it. And I do think that I think that it's like a stigma, like mental health, that people are just ashamed to talk about publicly. But I think more people, especially men who aren't so comfortable talking about their problems, should be more open about completely sucking at that time and just not doing a good job, and having kids who are 3, 4, 5, 6 years old outsmart them night and night again to the point where you're at complete despair. Also want to talk to married people. This is not going to be every couple, but some of my friends I've noticed that when it's bedtime and there are multiple kids that need to be put to bed, or one really challenging kid where 2 adults would be helpful, one parent will always sneak off into the sunset, abdicate their bedtime duties. But they're not just doing it. If you ask them, hey, what's going on, they will explain to you and show you that they're doing the most important task in the world right now. And it just happens to be that they always find that most important thing to do during bedtime hour. So I'm like, hey, can you help me? And she's like, what do you mean right now? I'm in the kitchen right now, and I have these beakers, and I'm actually about to cure cancer, and you want me to read these kids a story. Other things that they'll do is big things. They'll do a hip replacement surgery instead of bedtime. Sometimes they'll do the Hylas maneuver, and I'm thinking that maybe they're planning these things in advance just to coincide with bedtime, but I'm not sure, and I'm wondering again, are you in a relationship where your spouse somehow figures out during bedtime to do the most important task that ever existed for your family? If this, maybe we need a support group, something along those lines. I was in a restaurant. Of course, I'm anti-restaurant, but every once in a while I have to go just to stay relevant and stay current. So it's in Florida, so the 18% service charge is absolutely mandatory. You can't even ask any questions about that. Now, after I paid the bill with the 18% mandatory tip, I go back to sign my name, and there's another screen that's showing, leave a service fee, 4%, 5%, 3%. Now, granted, the numbers are lower, but what exactly are they charging a service fee for? Did they do such a great job collecting the original tip? Is that because the service went on the meal? So now we took care of that. Now is a new transaction. All that's happened right now is I paid the bill and the service fee. What's with this additional couple percentage wise? Why not just be open and say, listen, we're flat out a bunch of thieves, and we want to see if we can eke out another 5-10% of margin, because the owner is now leasing a new car, and we figured this would be a great tactic since nobody's paying attention to how much money anybody's spending anyways. This was a while ago. I just haven't done enough content, but there are a lot of things. People were going after Fauci, and he had testified, and he wasn't answering any questions. This man is a hero. Yes, I know people were dying and things like that, but let me just tell you why Fauci was a hero. So first of all, I have a guy that I worked with, an investment banker, and I was on a call with him once, and he works from home, and he tells me he's not even wearing pants. And this was a video call. That was not possible before Fauci. Work from home, the fact that people can now be at a desk not wearing any pants, obviously underwear, we're not talking about being inappropriate. But that's massive for human beings who, for thousands of years, had to do work with pants. And this is for men and women, by the way, the same thing. The second thing is Fauci did was, there was a time where you didn't have to go to any weddings, bar mitzvahs. It was just all Zoom-based. That was the happiest time in my life. And so, while I acknowledge maybe Fauci didn't make the best call with everything, many people I speak to, the COVID lockdown period was one of the happiest times in their lives. So, I urge people to reconsider in terms of, all the harsh retribution they want to have to Dr. Fauci. Now, I want to talk a little bit about privilege in the United States of America. I was listening to a New York Times podcast, and they were talking about there was food poisoning in lettuce, which in general, lettuce is a super privileged vegetable. It doesn't taste like anything. It just looks good. It just adds a little crunch. And they're talking about not having enough FDA officials to check food here in the United States, and how this food came from Mexico. And in Mexico, there was poop water officially, but poop in the water. And the United States needs to do a better job getting more officials to inspect the food. Like, how privileged of a conversation is that? We're talking about a country that their water makes you shit your brains out for hours, and we're concerned about fixing our lettuce problem. I think we should look in the mirror and say, wait a second, that water is their water. Maybe let's focus our energy and send the FDA to Mexico to fix their water supply so they can drink without sitting in a toilet for a day or two. Very excited. Let's see if this thing is still recording. Yes, it does appear that we are recording. That's great. I'm not even going to edit this out of a video. Okay, so everybody's excited about the iPhone 18 coming out. It folds. Very excited. I'm very excited as a startup in Silicon Valley is launching the ByPhone, which is basically Vi as in B-Y-E. It costs $1,000. What you do is you mail it your cell phone. Then they'll take a video of them smashing it with a hammer. And so you can get to watch that source of frustration and anxiety just get smashed at the smithereens. And then you pay like $30 a month, but keep you completely out of the grid. So a friend needs to text you. They will accept the text on your behalf, and then they'll mail you a letter. And as you get to your house in the United States, it takes 2-3 days.